It's the Derby debrief. Good evening. Well, final score here inside Pride Park. It was Derby County 1, Wigan Athletic 2, and Shaun Barker is alongside us. We'll hear from the dressing room in a moment or two as well. We'll hear from Paul Warne and the club captain, Conor Hourihane, before we wrap up. Strange game, wasn't it, Shaun, in many ways, because it got to 1-1. You thought, well, there's only one winner in this contest. Wigan didn't look like scoring a goal, and yet here we are talking about a defeat. Yeah,
and I think the frustrating thing more than anything is the type of goals that we conceded and the time when we conceded that second goal. Obviously, the first one was a clear mistake in the first half. We got ourselves back in. We were better in the second half in terms of controlling the tempo. And I think we mentioned on comms that they hadn't even got into our half for 10, 15 minutes. Then all of a sudden we switch off from a set piece and another terrible goal to concede. And from that moment, they sat a little deeper. They were happy defending the box. They defended it well, but we didn't have the quality in the final third to make a good enough chance to get the second goal. And it'll be disappointment, and that the manager will look back at the goals and reflect on it. But all in all, over the 90 minutes, we should have done more with the chances that we created and the possession that we had.
In a strange way, the fact that the two goals against Derby today were both very clear and obvious errors, does that make it perhaps easier for a manager to take some of the positives out of this game? Because he can point to those two things and look, if we hadn't switched off in those, we would have won the game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that, but that's part of the team. That's part of the individual responsibilities. Someone like Sonny Bradley has been outstanding in pre-season, and it's a moment that he'll want to forget and is rare for him. The second one with Miles Smith, who made a terrific save in the first half to keep it at 1-0, came off his line. And I don't think it makes it any easier. Probably can be quite frustrating because you think on a whole, we didn't give them too many chances. But when you switch off for a moment, when you're not concentrating, when you're on top, you have to be alert to any danger. And I felt for the game, Wigan always looked a threat, and I think it was more because we weren't defending correctly or weren't switched on at times, and it let them ultimately win the game. So there'll be disappointments, there'll be frustrations. We knew it was going to be a tough game. They're not an easy team to play against, Wigan, and I'm sure they'll be fine staying up in this division. But there will be frustration after your first home game. It starts with a defeat.
And credit, I guess, to the opposition as well, because having then got themselves in an unlikely way 2-1 in front, they did defend very well, and Derby didn't really have any clear-cut chances after that. The goalkeeper wasn't really tested. No,
I thought they defended the box really well, especially in the last 10, 15 minutes or so. If you look at how we played, we got balls into the box. Ward, especially in the second half, was delivering some brilliant balls in. Fozzie got his goal and had another chance. Numerous balls went into the box. There was we had constant possession, especially in the second half, in the opposition half. We just didn't do enough to really create the clear-cut chances that we needed to with the amount of, I suppose, positioning on the pitch that we had with our team. So disappointing. There's definitely things that need tweaking and a little bit of tidying up, but you can't fault their kind of seeing out the game, especially when the 9 minutes was added on at the end of the game, and you heard the roof raise a little bit and a little bit of optimism and belief, but we just didn't have enough.
Well, let's hear it from the Derby County dressing room now, and the manager, Paul Warne's been speaking to RamsTV.
Well, Paul, defeat on the opening day, what are your thoughts after that one? Well,
disappointing, obviously. I know the pre-season optimism is soon killed with the first game, first home defeat. Not pleased with the result. I'm not pleased with everything in our game, but it's the first game of the season, so that's no excuse. But I don't think we had enough of our best players at their best. That's probably the best way to put it, I think. So I was really pleased with a lot of it. I thought we started the game, I mean, obviously Wigan had the ball for the first 2 minutes, we didn't get a kick, but then I thought we got into it, we created good chances, should have scored off a set piece first half. Colo had a really good chance, and in the games against the better teams in this league, it will be reduced to very small margins. Obviously, we gave them a goal, disappointing from an error, obviously, and then we nearly gave them another goal because two of the centre halves left the middle of the pitch. And then second half, I thought, we said to them at half time, just try and move the ball a little bit quicker. And I thought Joe Ward caused all sorts of problems, and obviously it's one wing back cross, Fozzie scored. He nearly scored before that, and he possibly could have scored after that. So he could have had a hat-trick today, Foz. And at 1-1, we were really on top, really in the ascendancy. I don't think they really came into our half much second half. And I think, you know, another error from us, which is disappointing, but it happens. They score, and fair play to them, and then it's sort of all us again. But we don't create a clear-cut chance because, you know, they'd end up then putting their bodies behind the ball and make it difficult. They've got something to hang on to. But at 1-1, I felt really confident that we'd go on to win it. So it's surprising me that I'm standing here talking about a defeat. I think, you know, well, I know because I've just checked, but we had like 21 attempts on goal. They had 7, but we can't say that every week. We have to take our chances, or we have to create better chances. I just think the lads' energy to try and win the game sometimes spills over. So, like I just said to him in there, we put long throws in the last few minutes, but we're not set up with, you know, but they're so keen to do well. So I can't criticise their energy levels or their desire, but we just didn't have enough quality in the big moments today. That's probably the fairest assumption, I think. And, you know, I just thought we needed some energy out wide. Wardy was having a great game, but there's 45 other great games. You know, you've got to play again on Tuesday, play again on Saturday, so he just started to blow, as did Foz. And then obviously put Callum on and Kane. I thought like Kane had a real positive effect on the game. He kept putting crosses in, and we just sort of just lacked that little bit of magic or luck or whatever you call it, just in the box.
Clearly the biggest frustration will be that you've lost, but was it sort of a big frustration as well that the quality of the goals that you gave away today?
Yeah, I mean, you might not give 2 worst goals away for the whole season. No one goes out there to intentionally, you know. But against the better teams, you make a mistake and they'll take it. And I think, you know, on the whole, I don't think. I thought Wigan played well, by the way. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I thought we were pretty evenly matched. It was quite a close game, 2 pretty good teams, and they edged it possibly on the mistakes that we made. They probably didn't make any mistakes to allow us to, you know, get a goal. So that's a disappointing thing, that we've sort of not gifted them, and they worked really hard for their win. But you know, I'd like to think that wouldn't happen every week.
45 games to go, though. Is it? Clearly, it's frustrating, but there's a long way to go this season before you start even getting, you know, caught up in the emotion of everything. There's so much more football to play for, but when you're in the moment, it just feels really frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating. The lads have had a really good pre-season, you know, but it's a bit of an awful thing to say. We've signed new players, but we've still got similar issues. We still lack a little bit. Hopefully we can still do something in the market that will improve us in that area, really. But like I said, I can't knock the lads' efforts, and always the same. The downside is I think Nat's tightened up. He's a bit hammy-ish, so that's a bit of a concern. I thought Tomo came on, by the way, and had a real energy about him. So it's just frustrating that we just didn't take our chances when we possibly had them. Like if Fozzie's one, you know, falls to him, he hits it sweet as a nut and hits the keeper. I mean, it could have gone either side, and you go 2-1 up, and I just wouldn't have seen him scoring. But unfortunately today we have been undone by our own ineptitude's a bit strong, but you know, errors is probably the nicest way to put it. But I said to the lads before the game, there's 46 games potentially. Not every game will go perfect. Not the whole season won't go perfect, obviously, and even more so now we've lost. But even within the game, it doesn't always go. You know, a misplaced pass here, a misplaced pass there, overhit pass, a forced pass where we hit a couple of diags unnecessarily today and give the ball away, which isn't really like us. So hopefully we'll learn for that, and we've got another home game on Tuesday. And you know, I appreciate the fans staying with the players. I think we literally threw the kitchen sink. It's not very often I'm pleased to see 9 minutes go up, but I was today. But and it just wasn't our day. We'd probably still be out there now and we wouldn't get the equaliser. So sometimes you have to take that, brush yourself down and go again.
Yeah, it's the Derby debrief, hearing there from the Derby County manager, Paul Warne. If I take one word from that interview, frustration. that was the word that was uttered a lot, wasn't it?
It was, and you can understand why. The 2 goals, obviously, the fact it's at home, first game of the season. There was times in that first half, especially where there was unforced errors, passes were going astray. certain players that you normally would expect to be clean and crisp with the passing and first touch. There was just lots of moments that weren't quite there, and we still probably had enough to get something from the game. So lots of reasons to be frustrated and disappointed, but the first game of the season, you have to move on, and it's a long old season, and there's going to be so many twists and turns that you have to move on quickly.
And actually, when you look at the story of the game, Wigan started really well. They had a chance really early on in the game, didn't they?
I think 30 seconds, a minute into it, that they started brightly. I thought both teams started with good intensity. We were trying to press. We were trying to make it difficult for them to play out from the back. And again, it just, at times it opened up and it was maybe poor positioning or bad decisions or giving the ball away too cheaply, which allowed them to have their opportunities. And I actually thought they edged the opportunities in the first 45 minutes. I saw a little bit more composure in the second half, a bit more patience with the ball, a little bit more kind of detail with the passing and the touching. But as soon as that second goal goes in, the whole complexity of the game changes. They sit deeper, they wait to get you on the counter. And again, it's probably the detail in the final third, the quality in the final third, the amount of balls that went into the box, and they won the first duel and landed on second balls. It probably just needed a little bit more cuteness and a little bit more quality to get the goal. And he mentioned there, you could have gone all day and not got the second goal.
And Craig Forsyth, scorer of one goal, and as the manager mentioned there, probably could have had a second half hat-trick if things had been slightly different. A big moment in the game where it could have gone 2-1 Derby, goalkeeper makes the save, and suddenly you find yourself behind.
Yeah, well, it was a big shock for Fozzie to get the first goal. I don't mind saying that, and it would have been. It was a brilliant strike, and we know that Fozzie's got that in his locker. His technique with his left foot is superb, and it had to be superb. He watched it until the very last moment, outside of the left boot, and beat the keeper at the near post, and that was a bit of a surprise. And then to see him almost get the seconds a few moments later, that would have been incredible, but it wasn't to be. He mentioned that the energy of the wing-backs. I thought Fozzie and Ward, especially in the second half, Ward was putting in crosses, was always looking to go forward. Fozzie was at the back post, always trying to challenge and getting crosses himself. They kind of looked tired in the last maybe 10 minutes before they came off. He tried to inject some pace and some energy back in there, but yeah, there was that moment where the second goal could have gone in, and you go away and clearly win the contest, but it wasn't to be.
When you hear the manager, you hear the interview there, what are you thinking from what he has said there? Because he's obviously frustrated, that's the word again. As he was saying, some of the things from last season have carried over to this season, even with new personnel, for example. But he was also making the point that in games and in seasons, you are going to have your highs and your lows as well.
Yeah, he probably just wanted a few of those, we call them kinks, out from last season because of bringing new players in, because of having a different feel and setup to the team. But sometimes you do struggle with the same things. There's no doubt he needs to add in attack, add another player up there that can compete and work with James Collins. It's obviously a concern that Mendes Lang has got a little bit of a twinge because we are short up the top end. But those things will be ironed out. There was enough I saw today in terms of little details that have improved. The set pieces look more of a threat, and we probably and should have done more with them. The formation, the wing backs clearly work, and we're getting balls into the box. It's now the extra little bit of detail that will get you wins, that will get you goals. And when you're having 17, 18 chances, you want to see more than just one hit the back of the net. So things to work on, but there's some positives as well.
Let's go back to the dressing room now. We can hear it from the Derby County captain, Conor Hourihane.
Conor, not the start to the season you'd have wanted. What's your reflections on those 90 minutes?
Yeah, obviously, look, it's very disappointing. Obviously, we didn't come into today, envisaging a defeat. But look, I felt the performance was decent in the main. I think they had a couple of chances, and mostly from our mistakes, really. And obviously, they put them away, and there were big moments in the game. Especially the second one, I felt we were really on top in the game, and the last 20 minutes would have been a kind of an onslaught from us, I felt like, and that goal kind of killed the momentum a little bit. But look, overall, I think just the big moments were a bit of a killer. But in terms of performance, I thought we played all right, really, to be fair. But like I said, ultimately we want the points on the board.
In some ways, did it feel sort of similar to tight games last season where the fine margins sort of seemed to go against you?
Yeah, a little bit. I think, look, they're not bad side. Over history shows that they're always decent at this level in this league. So we knew it wasn't going to be an easy day today, but Yeah, I suppose hopefully we can learn lessons from it, and them tight games, like you said, last year went against us. We need to start turning them on its head a little bit and put the defeats into wins. But definitely in terms of the performance, I felt like there was enough shown there today to build on.
You talk about the performance, chances were created, you can see the pressing, winning the ball high up the pitch. There's definitely green shoots there, aren't there?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's what we're about. Pressing, winning the ball up high, and sustaining attacks and putting balls in the box. And I felt we did okay with that today. Just like you said, the little things didn't go for us. So hopefully, we'll like you said, learn from today and move on to the next one. Really.
A big crowd in here today, pushing towards 30,000, especially after the equalise. You can really feel the force of that crowd. I'm sure you're looking to harness that throughout the season, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure. Look, I suppose looking back at the first game of the season last year, it was a real kind of historic, memorable day, and today we wanted some of the same. Obviously, it's not gone for us, but look, last year we won the first game of the season and we ended up outside the playoffs. So hopefully, today won't mean a lot come the end of the season. Long way to go, a lot to play for, but it's about learning from today and becoming stronger, really.
Back to it on Tuesday night. I know it's a Carabao Cup, but it's Blackpool on the other side who you expect to be up there in this division, so it's a chance to lay a marker down against them, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. We want to get a result and get to winning ways as quickly as we can, because we're heading to Burton then, obviously, at the weekend, which won't be an easy game, bit of a local derby, so it's important for Tuesday night to get ready to recover and put in a good performance and get the win, and then hopefully bounce on to Burton then. On
to yourself, named captain earlier in the week. Family here today with you as you led the team out for the first time. Must have been very proud for you.
Yeah, I was. Look, it was a special day, of course. Bringing my kids out with me and a day to remember. I would have loved to get a good result to go with it, but it wasn't to be. But look, it was a day that I look back on with fondness. Come the end of my career, when you've got your kids and stuff, they're special moments that you'll remember for a long time.
Just overall, in terms of being captain of this football club, how much does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's massive. It's a big thing for myself. It's a big honour, especially with the lads obviously voting for me to become captain. I'm a big one on standards and professionalism around the training ground, which I feel reflects on the pitch. So look, it's a big honour, and hopefully over the course of the season it can be a successful one for me and the team. With me being captain, that'd be great.
Conor Hourihane speaking to us. Let's have a look at the results elsewhere in League One today. Well, Barnsley have certainly set their intentions out for the start of the brand new campaign, haven't they? Fancy being a Port Vale fan tonight. Barnsley 7, Port Vale 0. Blackpool next up for Derby in the Cup. Blackpool winning at Bloomfield Road by 2-0 against Burton Albion, who are next up for Derby in the league, of course, next weekend. Bolton 3, Lincoln City 0. Cambridge United 2, Oxford United 0. A battle of the two big university towns there. Carlisle United 1, Fleetwood Town 1, Charlton 1, Leyton Orient 0, Northampton Town 0, Stevenage 1, Portsmouth 1, Bristol Rovers 1, Reading 0, Peterborough United 1, Shrewsbury Town 1, Cheltenham 0, Wycombe Wanderers 0, Exeter City 3. Those are the results elsewhere in League One today. Let's try and wrap up on a positive note, Shaun. Reasons to be cheerful today?
Opportunities. We had more than enough opportunities. We dominated for long spells in the game, and defeat is kind of parcel of the season, and it's how quickly you move on from this. And the manager, the players won't dwell on today's defeat. They'll be disappointed, but come Monday they'll be looking forward to trying to get a result on Tuesday, and of course Burton next Saturday. So lots of positive. Yeah,
and Tuesday night, first team back out, same team?
Not sure. I think Mendes Lang. Yeah, I think Mendes Lang, if he's a little bit tight, they'll rest him. There might be a change or two for that game, but it'll be a strong side no matter what. He'll want to regain that confidence and belief, and go into Saturday's game kind of flying on all cylinders.
And then Burton, you and me, we're reunited next weekend. You must be looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it's always a big game. Obviously, affiliation with both football clubs. I still work at Burton in the 18s, and obviously, strongly connected here at Derby. So it'll be a tough test because Dino's got them playing well. They've obviously suffered defeat away at Blackpool today, but it'll be a really difficult game to go and play.
Well, Shaun, great to see you back here for the new season. Looking forward to your company next weekend as well. We'll be live around the world on RamsTV. Well, Paul Warne, ahead of this game, said that the season he hoped was going to be groovy. We welcomed you aboard the groovy train about 4 hours ago. Feels tonight like a slight derailment. Good night.